A human child was taken by a galaxy empire, and Earth's reacted with a bloody war. Maya Chen laughed as she chased fireflies through the tall grass. The 7-year-old girl ran between the pine trees, her small hands cupping at the dancing lights. Her parents sat by the campfire nearby, watching her play in the warm summer evening. "Don't go too far, Maya," her mother called out. Maya waved back and continued her game. The mountains around them were quiet except for the crackling fire and the gentle sound of the nearby stream. This camping trip was supposed to be a break from the busy city life. Her father had picked this remote spot in the Canadian wilderness because it was far from everything. High above them, something watched. The Zephyrian research vessel Silent Observer hung invisible in the night sky. Its advanced cloaking technology made it completely hidden from human eyes and their primitive detection systems. Inside the ship, 3 alien scientists studied the humans below through powerful sensors. Commander Zeklor examined the data on his screen. The creatures below were fascinating. They walked on 2 legs like the Zephyrians, but they were smaller and had no scales. Their brains showed unusual activity patterns. Most interesting of all, they seemed to form strong emotional bonds with their offspring. "Fascinating," Dr. Veltar said, adjusting his instruments. "Look at how the adult specimens protect the young one. They constantly monitor her location." "Their technology is primitive," Science Officer Nalix added, "but their social behavior is complex."
"Should we take samples?"
Zeklor shook his head. "Negative. This species is pre-contact. Galactic law forbids any interference. The Zephyrian Empire had strict rules about primitive worlds. No contact was allowed until a species developed faster than light travel on their own. Taking specimens would violate the most important law in their civilization, but as they watched, something went wrong. A small asteroid, no bigger than a baseball, struck their ship's outer hull. The impact was tiny, but it damaged one of the cloaking generators. For just a few seconds, the Silent Observer became visible. Maya saw it first. She stopped chasing fireflies and stared up at the sky. A huge dark shape hung above the trees covered in strange blue lights. It looked like no airplane she had ever seen. "Mommy, Daddy," she called out. "Look at the big flying thing." Her parents looked up and froze. The object was enormous, at least the size of a football stadium. It made no sound at all. "Maya, come here right now," her father shouted. The little girl started running back toward the campfire, but the damaged cloaking system sparked and failed completely. Bright lights suddenly blazed from the ship as automatic repair systems activated. The sudden brightness startled Maya. She tripped over a fallen log and tumbled down a small slope into the thick bushes. When she tried to get up, she found herself in a clearing she had never seen before. Above her, panic filled the alien ship. "The cloaking is down," Nalix reported. "The specimens have seen us." "Emergency departure," Zeklor ordered. "Activate the transport beam for emergency evacuation of any contaminated area." It was standard procedure. If a research mission was discovered, they had to remove any evidence of their presence. The transport beam was designed to take soil samples, plant life, and anything else that might have been affected by their technology. But the computer didn't know that a human child was standing in the target zone. Maya felt a strange tingling sensation. The air around her began to glow with soft blue light. She reached out to touch it and her hand seemed to become transparent. "Mommy," she cried out, but her voice sounded far away. The last thing she saw was her parents running toward her through the trees. Then everything dissolved into blue light. On the ship, alarms began blaring. "Life form detected in transport buffer," the computer announced. Dr. Veltar stared at his readings in shock. "We've accidentally taken one of the specimens. Transport it back immediately," Zeklor commanded. "Impossible, sir. The transport coordinates are scrambled. The system defaulted to emergency evacuation mode. The specimen has already been processed into our containment facility." Zeklor felt his blood turn cold. They had just committed the most serious crime in galactic law. They had kidnapped a member of a pre-contact species. In the containment bay, Maya materialized on a soft, glowing platform. She looked around in wonder and fear. The room was filled with strange curved walls that pulsed with gentle light. Everything was too big for her, designed for beings much larger than humans. The door opened with a soft hiss and Dr. Veltar entered. He was 7 feet tall with gray-green scaled skin and large golden eyes. His movements were slow and careful as he approached the frightened child. Maya had never seen anything like him. She pressed herself against the wall, trembling. "Easy, little one," Dr. Veltar said in his own language. His voice was deep but gentle. He activated his translation device and his words came out in broken English. "No hurt. Safe here." Below on Earth, Maya's parents screamed her name into the darkness. The strange ship had vanished as suddenly as it appeared. Local authorities arrived within hours, but they found no trace of the girl. The official report listed her as a missing person, possibly taken by wild animals. But Maya's father, Dr. David Chen, was a physicist. He had seen things that night that couldn't be explained by earthly science, the way the ship had appeared and disappeared, the complete lack of any engine noise, the strange blue lights. He began making phone calls to colleagues around the world, military scientists, aerospace engineers, anyone who might believe his impossible story. Most thought he was crazy with grief, but a few listened. Meanwhile, the silent observer jumped to hyperspace, carrying Maya far from Earth. The journey to the Kepler research station would take 3 days. During that time, Dr. Veltar did his best to care for the human child. He set up a small habitat with furniture sized for her. He analyzed her DNA to understand what food she could eat. He even found some recreational programs that might entertain a young mind. Maya was terrified at first, but Dr. Veltar was patient and kind. He spoke to her in simple English, learning more of her language each day. He showed her pictures of different foods until she pointed to ones that looked familiar. "Home," Maya said on the second day, pointing at images of Earth that Dr. Veltar had found in their databases. "Want to go home?" Dr. Veltar's heart ached. He had studied thousands of species, but he had never encountered one so young and vulnerable. The way she looked at him with such trust even though he was a stranger from another world. "Soon," he lied gently. "Home soon," but he knew it wasn't true. Galactic law was clear. No pre-contact species could be returned once they had been exposed to advanced technology. Maya would have to live the rest of her life as a research subject, unless something changed everything. On Earth, Dr. David Chen had found others who believed his story. Military officials who had seen similar reports over the years, scientists who had detected strange signals from space, engineers who had found pieces of technology that didn't match anything humans had ever built. They were forming a group. A secret organization dedicated to finding out what had taken Maya Chen, and when they found the truth, they would make whoever was responsible pay for stealing a human child. The war was already beginning, though neither side knew it yet. 18 months had passed since Maya Chen disappeared from the Canadian wilderness. The little girl who had once chased fireflies through the forest was now living in a place her parents could never have imagined. Kepler Research Station hung in the darkness between stars like a massive crystal flower. The station was home to over 50,000 alien researchers from dozens of different species. They came here to study the most unusual and interesting life forms found throughout the galaxy. Maya had become their most prized subject. She lived in a special habitat designed just for her. The rooms were built to human scale, with furniture that fit her small body. The walls could display any image she wanted, forests from Earth, underwater scenes, or even cartoons that the station's computers had created based on her descriptions. Dr. Veltar visited her every day. The tall Zephyrian had become something like a father to Maya, though she still missed her real parents terribly. He had learned to speak English much better, and Maya had picked up quite a bit of the Zephyrian language. "Good morning, little star," Dr. Veltar said as he entered her room. It was their daily routine. Maya had taught him that human children liked special nicknames. "Good morning, Dr. V," Maya replied. She had never been able to pronounce his full name correctly. Maya had grown taller during her time on the station. Her hair was longer now, and she had learned to braid it the way some of the female researchers wore theirs. But her eyes still held the sadness of a child who wanted to go home. "Today we will continue your education about galactic history," Dr. Veltar said, settling his large frame into a chair designed for his species. "Would you like to learn about the Centauri Wars?" Maya nodded eagerly. She loved learning about the galaxy and all the different alien species. It helped her forget for a little while how much she missed Earth. But while Maya was learning about alien civilizations, her home planet was changing in ways that would shock the galaxy. On Earth, Dr. David Chen had not given up searching for his daughter. The physicist had spent every waking moment since that night trying to prove that aliens had taken Maya. Most people thought he was crazy, but he had found allies in unexpected places. General Patricia Hayes had been skeptical when Dr. Chen first contacted the Pentagon. But she had seen the classified reports. For decades, military installations around the world had detected strange objects moving through Earth's skies. Objects that moved in ways no human technology could explain. "Show me the data again," General Hayes said, studying the screens in the underground bunker they had built in Colorado. Dr. Chen pulled up the electromagnetic readings from the night Maya disappeared. "Look at this spike here, and this gravitational anomaly. Whatever took my daughter used technology that manipulates space-time itself." Colonel Sarah Mitchell, Maya's aunt and a decorated Air Force pilot, had joined their team 6 months ago. She brought military discipline to their research efforts. "We've detected similar signatures in 17 other locations over the past year," she reported. "Someone is still watching us." The team had grown larger as more people joined their cause. Russian scientists who had detected strange signals from the direction of the constellation Andromeda, Chinese engineers who had found pieces of unusual metal in the Gobi Desert, Japanese researchers who had developed new theories about faster-than-light travel. They called themselves the Terra Coalition, and they had one goal: find Maya Chen and learn the truth about who had taken her. Their breakthrough came from an unexpected source. In the frozen wilderness of Siberia, a reindeer herder named Alexei Petrov found something that would change human history. It was a piece of metal the size of a refrigerator, partially buried in the ice. The metal was unlike anything found on Earth. It was perfectly smooth, completely weightless, and it glowed with a soft blue light. The Russian military contacted the Terra Coalition immediately. Dr. Chen stood in the snow, staring at the alien artifact. His hand shook as he ran portable scanners over its surface. "This is it," he whispered. "This is the same technology that took Maya." The artifact was the remains of a Zephyrian probe that had crashed months earlier. The probe had been conducting routine surveillance of Earth when its navigation system failed. The Empire had written it off as lost, but for humans it was a treasure trove of alien technology. Teams of scientists from around the world descended on the crash site. They carefully extracted every piece of the probe and transported it to secret facilities. Engineers worked around the clock to reverse engineer the alien systems. What they discovered changed everything. The probe contained star charts showing the locations of inhabited worlds. It had communication systems that could send messages across vast distances instantly. Most importantly, it had the mathematical formulas for faster-than-light travel. "They're not from another dimension," Dr. Chen explained to a gathering of world leaders in a secure bunker beneath the United Nations building. "They're from another part of our own galaxy, and according to these star charts, they have an empire that spans thousands of worlds." President Martinez of the United States leaned forward. "Are you saying we're dealing with an alien civilization that could have millions of ships?" "Possibly billions," Dr. Chen replied grimly. "But that's not the worst part. According to the probe's memory banks, they've been watching us for decades, and they have strict rules about not interfering with primitive worlds. The fact that they took Maya means either they made a terrible mistake, or they have plans for our entire species." Prime Minister Thompson of Britain asked the question everyone was thinking: "What do we do about it?" Colonel Mitchell stepped forward. "We get her back," she said simply, "and we make sure this never happens again." What followed was the largest secret mobilization in human history. Every nation on Earth contributed resources to what they called the Terra Protocol. Space agencies suddenly had unlimited budgets. Military contractors received orders for weapon systems that didn't officially exist. Universities were quietly recruited to solve theoretical problems about interstellar warfare. The public was told it was all part of various space exploration and asteroid defense programs. In reality, humanity was preparing for war. Dr. Chen worked directly with teams developing humanity's first faster-than-light spacecraft. The design was based on the crashed probe's engine system, but human engineers had made improvements. Where the aliens used elegant, efficient technology, humans built systems that were brutal and effective. "We don't need it to be pretty," Colonel Mitchell said as she reviewed the ship's specifications. "We need it to find Maya and bring her home." The ship was called the UES Retribution, and it would carry a crew of 50 volunteers. Every crew member had lost someone to the aliens, family members who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances over the years. They were all motivated by the same burning desire for answers. But they weren't the only ones preparing. Back on Kepler Station, Dr. Veltar was beginning to suspect that his superiors were hiding something important. Maya had mentioned several times that her species had something called nuclear weapons and space shuttles. For a supposedly primitive world, Earth seemed remarkably advanced. He decided to do some research of his own. What he found in the classified databases made his blood freeze. Earth wasn't just any primitive world. Human beings were developing technology at an unprecedented rate. Their population was massive, over 8 billion individuals. And according to recent surveillance reports, they were showing signs of unusual unity in their response to unknown threats. Most disturbing of all, several Zephyrian probes had gone missing in the Earth system over the past year. Dr. Veltar realized with growing horror that the Empire might have made the worst mistake in galactic history. They hadn't just kidnapped a child from a peaceful, primitive world. They had stolen a daughter from a species that was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. And if humans were anything like the little girl he had come to love, they would never stop trying to get her back. The UES Retribution hung in the darkness near Proxima Centauri, humanity's first ship capable of traveling faster than light. Colonel Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge, staring at the 3 alien vessels that had appeared on their sensors. After 2 years of preparation, humans were finally face to face with whoever had taken Maya. Unknown vessels. This is Colonel Sarah Mitchell of the United Earthship Retribution. She broadcast on all frequencies. We are here on a peaceful mission to recover a human child who was taken from our world. Please respond. The response came in perfect English, which surprised the human crew. Greetings, beings of Earth. I am Ambassador Thelnox of the Zephyrian Empire. Your presence in this system is most unexpected. We were not aware that your species had achieved faster than light travel. Colonel Mitchell felt her heart racing. This was really happening. After months of wondering if they were chasing shadows, they had found the aliens who took Maya. We achieved it specifically to find you, Mitchell replied. You have something that belongs to us. A 7-year-old girl named Maya Chen. We want her back. There was a long pause before Thelnox responded. When he did, his voice carried what sounded like genuine regret. The incident you refer to was an unfortunate accident. The young human is safe and well cared for. However, galactic law prevents us from returning her to your world. She has been exposed to advanced technology and knowledge of our civilization. Returning her would violate the prime directive of non-interference with developing species. Colonel Mitchell gripped the arms of her command chair. That's not acceptable. She's a child. She belongs with her family. I understand your emotional attachment, Thelnox said, but the law exists to protect species like yours from cultural contamination. The child will live a full and meaningful life under our care. She is already adapting well to galactic society. You kidnapped a little girl, Mitchell said, her voice growing cold. And now you're telling us we can't have her back because of your laws? Laws we never agreed to. The laws of the Galactic Empire apply to all species within our territory, Thelnox explained patiently. Your world falls within the boundaries of our jurisdiction. We regret the accident, but the child cannot be returned. On Earth, billions of people were watching this conversation through quantum communication links. In the secret command centers beneath major cities, world leaders listened with growing anger. Colonel Mitchell looked at her tactical officer. Lieutenant Zhang nodded grimly. They had studied the alien probe's technology for 2 years. They knew exactly how to hurt these ships. Ambassador Thelnox, Mitchell said calmly, I'm going to give you one more chance. Return Maya Chen to us immediately or we will take her by force. Colonel Mitchell, you must understand that your single vessel cannot threaten 3 ships of the Imperial Navy. We have weapons that could destroy your entire planet. Please reconsider this course of action. Mitchell smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You've been watching us for decades, but you don't really know us at all, do you? The human ship suddenly vanished from the Zephyrian sensors. Where did they go? Demanded Captain Zorkath aboard the lead Zephyrian vessel. His sensor operator frantically checked his instruments. I don't know, sir. They just disappeared. The humans had developed their own cloaking technology based on the crashed probe systems. But where the Zephyrian version was elegant and energy efficient, the human version was crude and powerful. It made the Retribution completely invisible to sensors, but only for a few minutes. Those few minutes were all they needed. The Retribution materialized directly behind the lead Zephyrian ship and fired every weapon it had. Human engineers had studied the probe's defensive systems and found a critical weakness. The alien shields were designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, but they couldn't handle kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. The Retribution's railguns fired tungsten rods at nearly 30% of light speed. The projectiles punched through the Zephyrian shields like they weren't there, and tore massive holes in the alien ship's hull. Impossible, Captain Zorkath shouted as his ship shuddered under the impact. How did they penetrate our shields? The second Zephyrian ship turned to engage the human vessel, but the Retribution was already moving. Human pilots had trained in simulations based on the alien probe's flight systems. They knew exactly how the enemy ships would maneuver. Colonel Mitchell's voice crackled over the communication system as her ship dodged the aliens' return fire. You want to know what makes humans different from your other subjects? We don't fight fair. We don't follow rules that we didn't agree to. And we sure as hell don't give up when someone takes our children. The battle lasted only 12 minutes, but it changed the galaxy forever. The humans fought with a viciousness that shocked the Zephyrian crews. They used ramming attacks, kamikaze drones, and weapons specifically designed to exploit the aliens' psychology. Human fighters deliberately targeted the Zephyrian ship's life support systems, forcing the aliens to choose between saving their ships or saving their crews. But the Retribution was outnumbered and outgunned. Despite their tactical advantages, the humans couldn't overcome the aliens' superior firepower. One by one, the human ship systems failed under the continuous bombardment. "Colonel, we've lost main power," reported the chief engineer. "Life support is failing." Mitchell looked around the ruined bridge. Half her crew was dead or wounded. But they had accomplished their mission. Every second of the battle had been recorded and transmitted back to Earth through quantum communicators. "Did we get the sensor data?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," replied the communications officer through a mouthful of blood. "Full tactical analysis of their ships, weapons, and defensive systems. Earth Command has everything they need." Mitchell nodded and opened a channel to the surviving Zephyrian ships. "This is Colonel Mitchell. We're about to lose life support. Before we die, I want you to understand something. Maya Chen is not just any human child. She's the daughter of one of our finest scientists, the niece of one of our best pilots, the granddaughter of one of our greatest military leaders. We acknowledge your bravery," Ambassador Thelnux replied. "Your sacrifice will be remembered." "You don't get it," Mitchell said, laughing bitterly. "This isn't a sacrifice. This is a declaration of war. Every human who dies here today has a family back on Earth. Friends, colleagues, people who will want revenge. And now we know where you live." The Retribution's power core finally failed and the ship went dark. The surviving crew died in the cold vacuum of space. But their final transmission had already reached Earth. Dr. David Chen stood in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, tears streaming down his face as he watched his sister's ship disappear from the displays. But his voice was steady when he spoke. "Did we get everything we need?" General Hayes nodded grimly. "Full tactical data, sensor readings of their weapons and shields. Most importantly, we got the location of their command frequencies. Our computers are already breaking their encryption codes." "Then Sarah didn't die for nothing," Dr. Chen said. He turned to address the room full of military officers, scientists, and engineers. "Ladies and gentlemen, the Zephyrian Empire just made the biggest mistake in their history. They think they can steal our children and hide behind their laws. They think we'll just accept their decision and move on." He gestured to the tactical displays showing the alien ship formations. "They're about to learn what happens when you threaten a human family. Maya is not just David Chen's daughter. She's not just Sarah Mitchell's niece. She belongs to all of us, and we're going to bring her home no matter what it costs." The room erupted in cheers, but Dr. Chen wasn't finished. "Contact every shipyard on Earth. I want 1,000 ships built in the next 6 months. Contact every nation, every military force, every person willing to fight. The Zephyrian Empire has 8 billion new enemies, and they don't even know it yet." Far away on Kepler Station, Dr. Veltar felt a chill run through his scales as he read the reports from Proxima Centauri. The humans had fought like nothing in recorded galactic history. They had sacrificed their lives without hesitation for a chance to find one small child. He looked at Maya, who was playing with a holographic puzzle in her room. She had no idea that members of her species had just died trying to rescue her. She had no idea that her homeworld was preparing for the largest war the galaxy had ever seen. Dr. V? Maya said, looking up from her game. Are you okay? You look scared. Dr. Veltar tried to smile, but his hearts were heavy with dread. I'm fine, little star. But I think everything is about to change. He was right. The war for Maya Chen had begun, and neither side would ever be the same. News of the Retribution's destruction reached Earth within hours, along with proof that Maya Chen was alive and being held somewhere in the Andromeda sector. The global response was immediate and terrifying in its scope. Every television station on Earth broadcast the same message. Every radio frequency carried the same words. Every internet connection displayed the same declaration. The Zephyrian Empire has committed an act of war against the human species, announced Secretary General Williams from the United Nations building. They have kidnapped one of our children and murdered the brave crew members who tried to rescue her. As of this moment, every nation on Earth is united in a single purpose: bring Maya Chen home and ensure this never happens again. What followed was the largest mobilization in human history. Factories that had been making cars began producing spacecraft. Universities that had been teaching literature started courses in alien psychology and xenobiology. Children who had been playing video games found themselves learning military tactics and space combat. The entire planet became a war machine focused on a single goal. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin, Maya's grandfather, stood on the bridge of humanity's newest warship, the UES Vengeance. At 73 years old, he had come out of retirement to lead Earth's growing fleet. The ship around him represented everything humans had learned from studying alien technology. Status report, Admiral Chen ordered. 47 ships ready for combat operations, reported Captain Torres. The Mars shipyards are producing 12 new vessels per month. Luna Base is manufacturing enough ammunition to fight a 10-year war. Admiral Chen nodded. His granddaughter had been missing for over 2 years now. Every day without her was another day of rage building in his chest. But that rage was focused and controlled. He would use it to bring Maya home. Any word from our reconnaissance missions? The stealth probes have identified 17 Zephyrian outposts along their border, Torres replied. Our computer viruses have infiltrated their communication networks. We're intercepting their orders faster than their own commanders are receiving them. Humanity's approach to warfare was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Where other species fought with honor and followed established rules of engagement, humans treated war as a problem to be solved by any means necessary. They developed computer viruses that could reprogram alien ship systems. They created psychological warfare techniques designed to exploit Zephyrian pack instincts. They built weapons that were specifically intended to cause maximum fear rather than maximum damage. Most disturbing of all, they showed no regard for their own casualties. Commander Raktul of the Zephyrian Third Fleet learned this lesson the hard way when human forces attacked his base on Kepler 442b. The humans approached his heavily defended position with what seemed like a suicidal frontal assault. Sir, 20 human ships are approaching on attack vector, his tactical officer reported. They're flying straight into our defense grid. Commander Raktul watched in confusion as the human ships made no attempt to avoid his weapons. They flew directly into the killing zone and began taking massive damage, but instead of retreating, they accelerated. What are they doing? He muttered. His question was answered when the human ships began ramming his defense platforms. Each ship was loaded with antimatter explosives. The humans were using their own vessels as guided missiles. All ships retreat to minimum safe distance, Raktul ordered, but it was too late. The explosions destroyed his entire outer defense ring and left his base completely vulnerable. Worse, the psychological impact on his crew was devastating. What kind of species sacrificed their own people so casually? While Raktul's forces were still reeling from the suicide attack, the real human assault began. 50 additional ships decloaked and launched a coordinated strike against his weakened defenses. The battle was over in less than an hour. But the humans weren't just winning through superior tactics. They were also getting help from an unexpected source. Dr. Veltar had been watching the war with growing horror. Every day brought new reports of battles fought with unprecedented savagery. The humans showed no mercy to Zephyrian forces, but they also treated their own lives as expendable resources. It was clear that his people had badly underestimated humanity. Late one night, Dr. Veltar made a decision that would have been considered treason by his government. He activated a secure communication channel and sent a message toward Earth. "This is Dr. Veltar of Kepler Research Station," he transmitted. "I am the scientist responsible for the care of Maya Chen. I wish to establish communication with her family." The response came within hours. "Dr. Veltar, this is Admiral Chen Wei Lin of the Terran Defense Fleet. Maya is my granddaughter. Is she safe?" "She is healthy and unharmed," Dr. Veltar replied. "But Admiral, you must understand that this war will not bring her home. Kepler Station is located deep within Imperial space, protected by over 300 warships. Your forces cannot reach her." "Then you don't know humans very well," Admiral Chen responded grimly. "We'll go through those 300 ships if we have to. We'll go through 3,000 ships. We'll keep fighting until every Zephyrian in the galaxy is dead if that's what it takes." Dr. Veltar felt a chill run through his scales. "Admiral, there are over 50 billion Zephyrians in the Empire. You cannot possibly defeat us all." "Doctor, there are 8 billion humans on Earth. Every single one of them knows Maya's name. Every single one of them wants her home. You kidnapped the wrong species child." The communication ended, but Dr. Veltar continued to monitor human transmissions. What he learned terrified him. Humanity wasn't just building warships. They were building an entire war economy. Children were being trained as pilots. Elderly scientists were developing new weapons. Even artists and musicians were contributing by creating propaganda that motivated the war effort. Most disturbing of all, they were preparing for a very long conflict. Human leaders were planning strategies that would take decades to complete. They were willing to fight for generations if necessary. Dr. Veltar realized that his people had made a fundamental error in judgment. They had assumed that humans would behave like other galactic species, that they would eventually accept the loss of one individual for the greater good. Instead, they had awakened something that might destroy the entire galaxy. Meanwhile, human forces continued their relentless advance through Zephyrian space. They captured enemy ships whenever possible, not for prisoners, but for technology. Human engineers reverse-engineered alien weapon systems and improved them. Human scientists studied Zephyrian biology to develop more effective psychological warfare techniques. Each victory brought them closer to Kepler Station. Each battle taught them more about their enemy's weaknesses. But the cost was enormous. Admiral Chen stood in the memorial hall aboard the UES Vengeance, looking at the walls covered with names. Over 40,000 humans had died in the war so far. Each name represented someone's child, parent, spouse, or friend. "Sir," Captain Torres said quietly, "we've received intelligence about Kepler Station's location. It's heavily defended, but our stealth probes have found a possible approach route." Admiral Chen touched one of the names on the wall, Colonel Sarah Mitchell, his daughter, who had died in the first battle at Proxima Centauri. "How many ships will we need?" he asked. "Conservative estimate, 200. We'll lose at least half of them in the assault." "And the crew casualties?" "Probably 30,000 dead or wounded." Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. 30,000 more names to add to these walls. 30,000 more families who would lose loved ones. All for one little girl who might not even remember Earth anymore. But then he thought about Maya's laugh, her bright smile, the way she used to run through his garden, chasing butterflies and asking endless questions about everything she saw. No price was too high. "Begin preparations for the assault," he ordered. "Send word to all fleet commanders. We're going to bring Maya home." On Kepler Station, Dr. Veltar was facing his own crisis. Word of his communications with Earth had reached his superiors. He was now under investigation for treason, but as he watched Maya playing in her habitat, he knew he had made the right choice. The little girl had grown so much during her time on the station. She was now fluent in 6 alien languages and could solve mathematical problems that challenged adult researchers. But she still cried sometimes at night, asking when she could go home. "Dr. V," Maya said, looking up from her studies, "why do you look so sad lately?" Dr. Veltar knelt down to her level. "Little star, do you ever think about your family on Earth?" Maya's eyes brightened. "Every day. Do you think I'll see them again?" Dr. Veltar looked into her hopeful face and made another treasonous decision. "Yes," he said quietly. "I think you will see them again very soon." Outside the station, human ships were already gathering in the darkness between stars, preparing for the largest battle in galactic history. The final phase of the war was about to begin. The final battle began at dawn in the Kepler system, though in space there was no real dawn. Admiral Chen Wei-lin watched from the bridge of the UES Vengeance as 200 human warships dropped out of hyperspace near the massive research station that held his granddaughter. Kepler Station was larger than anything humans had ever built. It hung in space like a crystalline city, its towers and spires stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Around it, 300 Zephyrian warships waited in defensive formations. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen," he broadcast to the human fleet. "Today we bring Maya home. Remember why we're here. Remember who we're fighting for." The response came from 200 captains speaking in unison, "For Maya Chen, for humanity." The battle that followed would be remembered throughout the galaxy for centuries. Human ships attacked in waves using every dirty trick they had learned during 2 years of warfare. They launched computer viruses that turned Zephyrian weapons against their own ships. They used psychological warfare broadcasts that caused panic among alien crews. They employed kamikaze tactics that horrified their enemies. But the Zephyrians fought back with the desperate courage of defenders protecting their homes. The space around Kepler Station became a graveyard of burning ships from both fleets. Inside the station, alarms wailed as the battle raged outside. Dr. Veltar ran through the corridors toward Maya's habitat, his mind racing with a plan that would either save the child or get them both killed. He found Maya huddled in her room, covering her ears against the sound of explosions that echoed through the station's hull. "Dr. V!" she cried, running to him. "What's happening? Why is everything so loud?" Dr. Veltar knelt down and took her small hands in his large-scaled ones. "Maya, do you remember what I told you about your family?" "You said they were looking for me," Maya replied, her eyes wide with fear and hope. "They're here," Dr. Veltar said. "Your grandfather is outside right now, fighting to take you home." Maya's face lit up with joy, then immediately crumpled with worry. "But people are getting hurt, aren't they? People are dying because of me." Dr. Veltar felt his heart break. Even at 9 years old, Maya understood the cost of this war. She had grown up surrounded by alien scientists who treated her with kindness, but she had never stopped missing her family. "Maya, I need you to be very brave," Dr. Veltar said. "I'm going to help you get home, but first you need to do something important. Your people and my people are fighting because they don't understand each other. Maybe you can help them understand." On the main communication deck, Dr. Veltar helped Maya access the station's broadcast system. Her small face appeared on screens throughout both fleets as she began to speak. "Hello," Maya said in a clear, strong voice. "My name is Maya Chen. I know you're all fighting because of me, but I need you to stop." The effect was immediate. Human pilots who had been preparing for suicide runs hesitated when they saw the little girl they had spent years trying to rescue. Zephyrian commanders who had been ordering devastating attacks found themselves unable to continue. "I want to go home," Maya continued. "I miss my family so much, but I don't want anyone else to die for me. Please stop fighting." Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the communication system, filled with emotion. "Maya, sweetheart, it's Grandpa. We're here to take you home." "Grandpa," Maya cried, tears streaming down her face. "I knew you would come for me." But her expression grew serious as she looked at both fleets. "Grandpa, the people here have been kind to me. Dr. Veltar has taken care of me like you would. They made a mistake, but they're not evil. Please don't hurt them anymore." For a moment, the entire battle paused. Hundreds of ships from both sides held their fire as a 9-year-old girl tried to stop an interstellar war. Then Dr. Veltar stepped into view beside Maya. "Admiral Chen," he said, "I am Dr. Veltar, the scientist responsible for your granddaughter's care. I propose an immediate ceasefire and prisoner exchange. Maya will be returned to you, and in exchange, your forces will withdraw from this system. What guarantee do we have that you'll honor the agreement?" Admiral Chen demanded. Dr. Veltar looked down at Maya, then back at the screen. "You have my word. And more importantly, you have Maya's word. She knows I would never lie to her." The negotiation that followed was tense and complicated. Military commanders from both sides argued over details, while their fleets remained poised for battle. But gradually an agreement took shape. Maya would be returned to the human fleet aboard a small shuttle. Dr. Veltar would accompany her to ensure her safety and serve as a formal ambassador. The humans would withdraw from Zephyrian space, and both sides would establish communication channels to prevent future conflicts. But the real moment of truth came when Maya said goodbye to the only home she had known for over 2 years. She hugged Dr. Veltar tightly. tears streaming down both their faces. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked. "I don't know, little star," Dr. Veltar replied honestly. "But I promise that whenever you look up at the stars, I'll be thinking of you." The shuttle that carried Maya to the human fleet was escorted by ships from both sides. When she finally stepped aboard the UES Vengeance and ran into her grandfather's arms, there wasn't a dry eye on either bridge. Admiral Chen held his granddaughter tightly, hardly believing she was real. She had grown so much during her captivity. Her hair was longer, her face more mature, and she spoke with the confidence of a child who had learned to adapt to impossible circumstances. "I'm sorry, Grandpa," Maya whispered. "I'm sorry so many people died because of me." "Sweetheart," Admiral Chen said firmly, "none of this was your fault. You were just a little girl playing in the woods. What happened to you was wrong, and we did what we had to do to bring you home." But Maya's next words showed how much she had learned during her time away from Earth. "Grandpa, the galaxy is so much bigger than I thought. There are so many different people out there, and most of them are good. Maybe instead of fighting them, we could be friends?" Admiral Chen looked at Dr. Veltar, who had remained silent during the reunion. The alien scientist had risked everything to help return Maya to her family. Perhaps the child was right. Perhaps there was a better way forward. "Maybe we can," Admiral Chen said. "But first, let's go home." The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, Maya served as an unofficial translator between the human crew and Dr. Veltar. She helped them understand each other's cultures and find common ground. When they finally arrived at Earth, Maya stood on the observation deck and stared at the blue-green planet that had seemed like a distant memory for so long. "It looks smaller than I remembered," she said quietly. "The galaxy will do that to you," Dr. Veltar replied. "But size isn't what makes a place special. Love is what makes it home." Maya's return to Earth was broadcast around the world. The little girl who had disappeared while chasing fireflies was now a young ambassador, who spoke 6 alien languages and understood the complexities of interstellar politics. But she was still a child who wanted to see her parents. The reunion with her mother and father was private, held at the family home where this entire story had begun. Maya ran into their arms just as she had run to her grandfather, and for the first time in over 2 years, the Chen family was complete. Later that evening, as Maya played in the garden behind her house, her parents watched from the porch. The world around them had changed dramatically. Orbital defense platforms now protected Earth from space. Humanity had taken its place as a major power in galactic politics. The age of isolation was over. "Do you think she'll be okay?" Maya's mother asked. "After everything she's been through?" Her father smiled as they watched Maya chase fireflies between the flowers, just as she had on that night so long ago. "She's stronger than any of us imagined," he said. "And she's home. That's all that matters." Above them, the stars shone with new meaning. Humanity now knew they were not alone in the universe. They had fought their first interstellar war and won, not through superior strength, but through the power of love that refused to give up. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson: never take a human child from their family. But perhaps more importantly, they had also learned that humans, despite their capacity for violence, were capable of forgiveness and friendship. Maya Chen had become the bridge between 2 civilizations, a symbol of hope that different species could find common ground. And sometimes late at night she would look up at the stars and whisper, "Thank you." Dr. V, knowing that somewhere in the vast darkness, a gentle alien scientist was looking back at the same stars and thinking of the little girl he had helped save. The war was over. The healing could begin, but the galaxy would never be the same, because they had learned what happens when someone threatens a human family. And they had also learned that the same love that could drive humanity to war could also drive them to peace if given the chance. Maya Chen was home, and the universe was a little bit smaller, a little bit kinder, and a lot more connected than it had been before.